Just a minute. I'll just go and check. Finally, Robin is here. We are extremely excited for this. I've just joined him. Wait, this is going to be amazing. Robin, are you here? Can you hear me? Wait. Hi, Robin.
Hey,
Hi, what's up?
how are you, Raj?
I'm really, really excited at this moment, and
Fantastic.
this is really a big thing for me. I've been waiting for this since last 6 months, since last when we had the conversation for the first time.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so much for
much.
doing this.
I'm happy to be with you and all of your followers.
Well, it's a lovely day. Is it cold in Canada back there?
Yeah, it's a little cold, yeah.
All right, perfect. So I am looking forward to this, and I know that most of my audience already knows who you are. They have been
Okay.
excited as I am. But for that little 1% of the people, why don't you tell everybody who is Robin Sharma? Because we want to listen it from the horse's mouth.
Well, I'm a human being, hopefully a humble servant to as many people as possible. I'm a family man. I'm a book lover. I'm a traveler, and someone who's trying to improve himself as a leader and as a person.
Absolutely. That's quite humble of an introduction. I thought you would be talking about your book, I was talking about your things. But how did all of it begin, Robin? Like how did all of it begin? Like we know your journey from a lawyer to a monk, right? But we want to know more about how and why you wanted to become a lawyer at first place. Was it like a
Okay.
childhood dream?
Well, first of all, if I may, Raj, you mentioned humility. And I think success is a very dangerous place to be because if you look at a lot of the great empires, if you look at a lot of the great heroes, you look at a lot of the great business titans, it was at the pinnacle of their success that they fell in love with themselves. It was
True.
at the pinnacle of their greatness that they developed hubris. There was a Roman slave named Origa. I talk about this in the 5 a.m. Club. And his job was to stand behind the military general and just do one thing. And it was to whisper into the military general's ear, memento homo, momento homo, which means remember you're just a man. And I
Mm.
think, I've been in this field of leadership and personal development for almost a quarter of a century now.
Uh-huh.
And I think one of the greatest snares is we find some victory, whether it's in our business or financially or with health, and we lose that white belt mentality. And so I'm no guru. I'm just a very ordinary person, but I work very hard in my prayers, meditations, journaling to keep my feet on the ground. Secondly, I was never a monk. So a lot of people think the monk who sold his Ferrari was a true story. And it was pure fiction, Raj. So yes, I was a lawyer. When I was in my 20s, I was successful, but very unfulfilled. And, I didn't have a lot of satisfaction. I felt very empty. And like the character in The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, I went on a search. But I never became a monk, and I'm far from a monk, I have to admit.
All right. But was it like a childhood dream to become a lawyer at first place?
Well, you look like you're of Indian background.
Uh-huh.
So we have a few choices, don't we? We have
Yeah.
we have teacher,
That's what I wanted
engineer,
to know.
lawyer, doctor. So I was encouraged to be a professional when I was growing up. But what's the point of being successful to the world if you're empty within? And I think
Uh-huh.
real success is actually not doing what the world says is success.
True.
Real success is doing what the quiet whispers of your heart tell you will bring you joy. So in the 5 a.m. Club, there's that model that has helped so many people, joy as a GPS.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is if you could actually forget about comparing yourself to people on social media, forget about trying to please everyone around you, whether it's your friends or your parents, and just have the bravery to trust your instinct, because human beings have incredible instincts, but if you don't use them, they get very weak. And if we could only trust our instincts, and then if the instinct said, be a writer, be a film producer, be a baker, be a whatever it is, a street cleaner. If cleaning streets makes you feel like you're in awe and wonder, then how could it be wrong, even if the world might prescribe that it's not a big job?
True. That's there. But my big question here is I want to go dig deeper. Sometimes we are very we're very bullish on some gut feeling.
Yes.
But it's very difficult for, just because you're Indian and you can relate to it, it's very difficult for us to convince our parents to not take the path which everybody is taking and go with the gut feeling. Because right now, everybody wants to become, let's say, a YouTuber, or maybe people want to get into speaking or writing. These are creative jobs. And Indian parents specifically don't understand creative jobs. How do you convince them? How do you show them uh, that kind of that confidence? How do you get them in your confidence that they can allow you to do things which you really want to do based on your gut feeling?
You hypnotize them. You learn hypnosis. You know, first of all, I'd say, Raj, I'd say Indian parents, I'm not going to speak for all the Indian parents in the world, but the culture is changing
Yeah.
because there's a lot of Indian sports stars, music stars, actors, authors, et cetera, et cetera. So the creative field is opening up much more to people of Indian origin.
Absolutely.
The second thing I'd say is learn how to become a communicator with your parents. So it's
Gold.
in a very respectful way, because I really believe in respecting elders. I think it's one of the most beautiful things of Indian culture. But that doesn't mean we should be walked on. That doesn't mean we should deny our own aspirations and ethical ambitions. And so it becomes a conversation with your parents. And maybe a lot of your followers are saying, you know, that sounds easy. Well, all wisdom sounds easy, doesn't it? Yeah, people say, you know, even they read they read the 5 a.m. Club. Well, that sounds easy. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's just the book. It's executing on the wisdom is hard. You know, getting up at 5 a.m. and doing the workout, it's not easy, but
Yeah.
it'll get easier. And then you get the rewards. I mean, a lot of us want the rewards of world class without following the requirements of world class. So anyway, I think having a conversation with your parents and working on them is important. But finally, look, I believe in reincarnation, but we only have one life. And do you really want to be on the last hour of your last day, surveying your life and say, I lived my parents' life, but I never caught a glimpse of my own genius. I never did what I wanted to do. I wanted to go live in Bali or Goa or Bogota. I wanted to write books or be a YouTuber. I want to be a YouTuber as well. But, you know, if you don't do those things, then you might have material success, but you will miss out on what I call in the 5 a.m. Club, JPF, joy, peace, and freedom. And that's the real wealth. Joy,
True.
peace, and freedom, not high net worth. How many rich people do you know who are very unhappy?
A lot.
Me too.
Yeah. Makes sense. It does. And JPF is actually very powerful if you look back in life and if you think about it. At the end of the day, when you go back to bed, this is all you care about. You want to peacefully and happily just sleep and have fun, you know? That's there. So,
You know, yeah.
yeah, I was
I would,
saying,
please.
no, no, please go on, carry on. You continue.
Well, I just think you make a wonderful point. You know, and I really appreciate the way you want to go deep in a world of too much superficiality, too much, you know, triviality and chasing addiction and distraction. I think people are really craving wisdom, aren't they? They're craving depth. They're craving deep conversations and deep relationships and a deeper life. But JPF, I think money, I think fame, I think YouTube followers, social media followers, that can be like heroin
Yeah.
because it's never enough. Like you think, okay, you get to 1 million and then you'll be happy. But that is such a, Sanskrit Maya, right? It's such an
Yeah.
illusion because once you get to 1 million, you want 2 million followers.
Absolutely.
But the only thing that really can bring joy, peace, and freedom is falling in love with yourself and appreciating yourself. And then what happens? And I think this is very powerful. And Mr. Riley teaches this to his students on the vineyard in South Africa in the 5 a.m. club.
Okay.
And what he says is, then you are in the world, but you're not of the world.
Mm.
And I think if we could be in the world and, you do your business, you make your money, you have a great family life, you're existing like a human, but it's all a big joke because it's just an illusion. And
True.
real joy is something higher and deeper. Then you're a master. And I'm not saying I'm there, but then you're a master.
Yeah, that's there. And so, okay, now that you're talking about reaching to 1 million and then 2 million, that gets me to a very important question, which I wanted to ask you is, now that you have written The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, then you wrote the 5 a.m. Club. Do you think now you feel that pressure that you want to come up with a better book next time? What is that process? Because I understand that as a writer or as a communicator, as somebody who's trying to spread wisdom out there in the world, the message is really important, but distribution also plays some kind of importance in the world. So do you feel that you feel pressure that this should get distributed in the even bigger numbers? Or if not, then how do you handle that pressure? Because people must look up to you.
If, I wouldn't say this if it wasn't true, but if every podcaster or Instagrammer asked such good questions, I'd actually like doing interviews
Wow.
because you're challenging me and they're thoughtful questions, versus, why did you write the book? So I don't feel pressure from the outside that the next book, and by the way, I spent last year writing my new book. And so I'm just finishing it right now.
Okay.
But I don't feel pressure from the outside. Oh, I need to make it even better than the 5 a.m. Club or the Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, because that doesn't really matter to me. I mean, everything fades. One day I will die and I'll be a pile of dust. Every great author will die. Every king and queen dies. And most of us are forgotten. And if you can keep that truth in mind, then you don't take yourself too seriously.
True.
So I don't really care. Like, I don't care that much. Like, I've had a really great ride. And if I don't write any more books and I spend my days with my family riding my mountain bike and reading books and meditating, I'm a happy person. Having said that, to be very truthful, internally, my standards are still very high. So I
Yeah.
don't feel pressure from the outside, and pressure seems very heavy. I don't feel pressure from the inside, but I have an internal architecture of very high standards.
Mm.
And based on those standards, all the people who've been following me on Instagram have seen me writing this new book. They've seen, I've gone through, 10 or 15 rounds, 20 changes on every page. And I've just gone through this book. Like last year, I gave my heart and soul to this new book. That's not because of pressure. It's because my father's name will be on the cover. And my
Yeah.
reputation is at stake. And I see myself as an artist. So it must be excellent for me to sleep well at night, and my readers deserve that level of quality, if that makes sense.
That does. That makes a lot of sense because I was you made an excellent point that you don't feel the pressure from the outside But as an artist, you have set really high standards from you, because that is what pushes you every day to achieve that standard, and that is what your audience also deserves, because they are following you or keeping up with you for a reason, and you need to be up there, like that standards have been set. So you set it from the internally, and that's a beautiful line. Like, you set high standards and not take pressure from other people, so that you keep up with their standards to produce good work consistently for a very long time, so that you can sleep peacefully.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Bono of U2 said, he said, U2 has been on the verge of irrelevance for 20 years. And I don't need to be famous and all that kind of stuff. I just don't want to be irrelevant.
Mm.
I just want to honor my craft. Like, to me, Raj, work is a spiritual exercise.
Yeah.
Even the 5 a.m. Club, I spent 4 years on it. I could have put it out after a year, got my advance from my publisher, and called it a day. But the love I put into the 5 a.m. Club, the care, the where I took my craft in terms of the languaging and the models and the philosophy and the methodology. And when I was tired, I continued. I remember reading about Khalil Gibran, the author of The Prophet, and he carried the manuscript of The Prophet around with him for 4 years because he wanted every word right. Well, writing the 5 a.m. Club, which is transforming the lives of so many people around the world right now, it transformed my life, because Robert Louis Stevenson said, only those willing to go beyond their limits can expand their limits. And so when I
Mm.
wrote the 5 a.m. Club, it pushed me beyond my limits. So I transformed. And then the second thing I'd simply say is, when you work, it's also an exercise in respect.
True.
And I don't just say it on my Instagram or YouTube, oh, I respect my readers. I love my readers, and I respect and honor them, and I'm here to serve them. And if you really feel that, not only in the head, but in the heart, if that's a truth, then you're not going to put out any work that's garbage.
Yep. That's there. That's, I'm still stuck on this point where you said that everything, that line, that I don't want to be famous, but I also don't want to be irrelevant. And that is when you get it from the heart, and you respect everything from that, like that line, when you take it inside your body and you feel it every moment, things come out powerfully. And that's a beautiful way to put it out. Thanks for doing this. I mean, it has, I'm actually now thinking about all my work all of a sudden, because I'm also in the middle of writing a book, and I'm just thinking, okay, this is something which I need to do about. Thanks for doing this. Okay, so I have a very important question, because this formula, this might be one question which most of the people have been asking you already. That, what is this 20-20-20 formula in your new book?
So, the 5 a.m. Club is not only a book about the morning routine of billionaires and sports stars and all the people I've mentored over these past 25 years. It's really a book about how to express your primal genius and how to not only be ultra successful in the world, but spiritually and peacefully. Because I think there's a line in the book which is, success without soulfulness is an empty victory.
True.
So what's the point of being famous and successful and you can't stand yourself every morning? So the 20-20-20 formula, I go into depth in it in the book, but simply said, I encourage people to get up at 5 a.m. It'll take about 66 days before it's automatic. A lot of people say, I can't get up at 5 a.m. Well, first of all, how many people in India get up at 5 a.m.? Many people, they get up to pray, meditate. There's a term called Brahma Muhurta, which is the time of Brahma, and it's from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So it's our Indian culture to get up at this time. The sages say the meditation is more powerful, the prayers are more powerful, the reading of the holy books are more powerful. So this is our culture. So you get up at 5 a.m., you do it for 66 days because University College London has found through their research that if you do a new skill for roughly 66 days, it becomes automatic because our brains are plastic. It's called neuroplasticity. We are built to change. So anyone who's watching, if you try it for 2 days, of course it's not going to work. If you try it for a week, of course you won't join the 5 a.m. club. But don't blame it on me. Blame it on yourself. It's like saying, I want to be a world-class chess champion. I want to be a world-class chapati maker. I want to be a world-class athlete. But I went to the gym for 4 days and I couldn't do it. So there's a line in the 5 a.m. club, which is all change is hard at first, messy in the middle, beautiful at the end. Okay, so as you're going through the process of installing the new habit, what do you do at 5 a.m.? Definitely don't check your email. Definitely don't go on social media. Sorry, Raj. Definitely don't watch the news. Give this time for yourself for 1 hour. I call it in the book the victory hour. First 20 minutes, 5 to 5:20, exercise. Why? Because when you sweat, you'll release BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which supercharges your brain. You'll release dopamine, the inspirational neurotransmitter. You'll release serotonin, which will make you feel happy. You'll release oxytocin, you'll jumpstart your brain, you'll increase your metabolic rate. Now and you're sweating, and you feel more energy. Now it's 5:20. You feel fundamentally different because you've optimized your brain, you've increased your energy, you've moved. 5:20, the 20-20-20 formula, the second pocket. This is where you reflect. 5:20 to 5:40. You pull out your journal. I had mine here this morning. You pull out your journal. You can write about the man or the woman you want to be today. Powerful. Habit researchers call it a pre-commitment strategy. That's how you change. Or you write if you're in pain because you're going through heartbreak. You know, it's a very difficult time on the planet. If you repress those feelings, they will appear as dis-ease down the road. So journaling is a great method to process through pain. It's a great method to increase your daily gratitude. It's a great method to detect the values and the dreams you want to live by because clarity precedes mastery. Okay? You can also read. Here's a book I was reading. Just for example, this morning on my stories, I actually showed a picture of my morning routine today. So now it's 5:40. Final pocket of the 20-20-20 formula is grow. When I mentor the billionaires, the athletes, the CEOs of Fortune 50 companies, you know what they all have in common? They're curious. Even if they're 50, 60, 70, they're the first people to learn to read a book. So for 20 minutes, you read a book. I mean, I've got
bunch of them.
Books everywhere. Books everywhere. A day without reading is like a day without oxygen for me. So for 20 minutes, Raj, 5:40 to 6 o'clock, you listen to an audiobook, you watch Raj on a podcast, you might want to watch me on a podcast, you read an old school book. I don't know if people remember what they are, but they look like this. They're old school books. When there were dinosaurs and dodo birds, people used to read these things called books. I'm joking because I really love old school books. And then it's 6 o'clock. You have, in the 5 a.m. club, there's the 4 interior empires. Everyone's talking about mindset. I actually introduced mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set. 4 interior empires, which will give you personal greatness, which will allow you to go out in the world and live at greatness. Not just mindset, that's just our psychology. We also have our heart set, our emotionality, our health set, our physicality, and our soul set, our spirituality. And unless we work on all 4, we'll never be great in the world. That's the 20-20-20 formula.
Wow. But now this leads me to 2 questions, okay? I'm really curious at this point that, okay, so number one, I want to ask that why specifically 5 a.m. is important? Because I'm coming from a point where I have always been believing this in my life that it doesn't matter at what time do you wake up or at what time do you sleep. What matters is what you do after you wake up till the time you go back to bed. That is my personal agenda. That is what I've been believing in. And I have,
That's a good
I'm obviously
excuse, Raj.
nowhere close to personal greatness or where you are or anyone is, but I'm coming from a point where my entire family's like monthly income was not even 45,000 a month. And now we are at a point where I'm able to afford the dreams which I have and afford my entire family is able to live a successful life. So I've never thought of waking up at 5 a.m. I've ever so can we do the same thing? The victory hour is a good point. But can we do that at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or 12, like 11 a.m.? What's the difference between 9 a.m. and 9 a.m. or 5 a.m.?
Well,
What is it?
first of all, I'm very excited for you because you are clearly not a member of the 5 a.m. club.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I would say to you is be open. Because if you're not open, you might miss your new best friend. If you're not open, you might miss your new favorite food because you didn't try it. If you're not open, you might miss a business opportunity that will take you and your family to a completely new level.
Mm.
If you're not open to the 5 a.m. club method, the 20-20-20 formula, look, Raj, I've been teaching this to my clients for over 2 decades. If my own children said, Dad, what are 2 things to do that would cause me to live a dramatically better life? My own children, I'd say get up at 5 a.m. and run the protocol I teach in the 5 a.m. club book. And number 2, I'd say, keep the promises you make to yourself and other people. So I'm simply saying if you're doing well now, which you are, I cannot tell you once you wire in the 5 a.m. club habit and you get up, because see, 8 a.m., what you said, you suggested you get up at 7 or 8 a.m. There is no magic in the air at 8 a.m. Incoming. Everyone's awake. They're sending you emails. The news is on. People are in the streets. It's noisy. There's a vibration in the air that is fundamentally different. The sages knew it. Why does Michelle Obama, Stephen King, Tim Cook of Apple just go on and on and on? They were early risers.
Yeah.
Because at 5 a.m., or it could be 4 a.m., or it could be 4:33, it is the time of greatest quietude, but you haven't experienced it. And I'm going to be, I always want to be honest. For the first week or two, you might dislike me. You'll say, why did I listen to that bald man in the black t-shirt? But every habit is hard at the beginning. Once you install it, you get up at 5 a.m. After a few weeks, it'll get easier. Now you get up at 5 a.m. You can pray, run, exercise, meditate, feed yourself. The Spartan warriors say, sweat more in training and you'll bleed less in war. Now it's 6 o'clock. You've worked on yourself. You've taken care of your mind, heart, soul, body. Now you're ready for battle. And you can start work. People who have read the 5 a.m. club say they get more done by 8 o'clock than most people in one day than most people get done in a week. Because most people are busy being busy versus monomaniacally focused. So the 5 a.m. club and the 20-20-20 formula, the method, it works profoundly, but it's not going to work for anyone who won't do the work.
The last line took it away from me. It's not going to work for the people who are not going to do it. Makes sense. That's there. Wow. Now let's just change the tangent towards more focusing on the book part. Why do you think this book has gone so viral? What can be, and let's just make it much better for everybody to understand it. What do you think are the 3 essential elements when you are writing a bestseller, so that you're writing a book and you know that it's going to be a bestseller? Like, what are the 3 essential elements for a book to do well?
I want to preface that by saying I don't write a book primarily to be a bestseller. I write a book to transform my readers.
Mm.
Because writing a book for a bestseller is coming from the intention and energy of ego. And then
True.
the readers will feel the ego, which is born of fear, in my words.
Mm.
So the intention is to honor God's grace, if I may share personally. It's to honor God's grace and to serve my readers. Do I want it to be a bestseller? Yes. It's better than having 10 copies sitting there in crossword books for the next 10 years, and right? So, okay. So what are the three things that have made the 5am Club one of the best-selling books in the world right now? I would say, number one, the story. People are learning neuroscience and productivity formulas and happiness strategies and philosophy in a I think a really fun story. It's
Yeah.
about Mr. Riley, this quirky billionaire, and the artist and the entrepreneur and the spellbinder, and they go from Mauritius to India, Taj Mahal, then they go to Rome and Buenos Aires. And so I think number one, it's the story. Powerful, transformational information wrapped up in a story. Number two, there's science and research-based information in there. It's heavyweight. It's not just set goals, be happy. So there's transformational, science-based information in there. Third reason, I mean, it's the obvious. I've been in this field for many years, and I've built up. I'm very grateful, but I've built up a worldwide following. And I'll tell you, probably a lot of your followers, but I think I have the best readers in the world. They've been following me when my heart has been broken, when I've had difficult times, when I've been doing well. They've been reading my books, watching me on YouTube, following me on Instagram for all these years. And that's why I work for them, and I love them. And that's not a platitude. I love my readers, I serve my readers, and I wish for the best for my readers. So we have a great relationship.
True. Yeah. These are very key, essential three elements, because I loved all three were about something to do with your heart and transforming the lives of others.
Mm.
There was nothing which was related to ego or fear or some tactic or a strategy. I love this part because when you ask most of the people, they share their strategies, some hack which they have mastered, but you didn't share any of that. And I think that's the beauty why everybody is following your work and they keep continuing to follow what you do.
You know,
Now,
Raj, if I may just reply to that, because you make such an important point. We live in a world right now where everything is hacking. Everything is shortcut. Everything is tactic. If it's not science-based, and there's a lot of science in the 5am Club, but if it's not a hack, if it's not a science-based thing, in this current culture, we dismiss it.
true.
What about wisdom? What about philosophy? What about truth? That is powerful too. And so I teach a lot of tactics, but I do my best to share wisdom and truth. And people say, well, you know, where's the tactic? One piece of truth can transform a human life. One piece of truth can transform the world. And one of my overriding pieces of truth came to me from my dad. It was based on a point by Rabindranath Tagore, the Bengali poet. And my dad used to say, my dad's 83, and he's from Jammu, from the north of India. And he said, Robin, when you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice. So I was trained by my father to be a servant leader. It was in our family culture, and I think even in the larger culture, he or she who does not serve will never know true happiness.
True. That's That's beautiful. That's kind of answered the next question, the last question which I had before we get on to the last segment, which is a game for me. But this kind of answered, but I want you to elaborate more. I'll ask for everybody is you were trained since the beginning, right? But what about people who are as naive as I am today at this age? Because I'm just 24 at this point, and there are quite
Wow.
young people, right? They're like 22, 20s, 18s. How do they train themselves? What should they do so that they can learn to become something beyond, or they can reach the maximum potential? Because I'm pretty sure you must be getting your learning from a couple of places. Where do you find these learnings from? Where do you learn from all of this? Because it doesn't happen in this one room. I definitely understand that books are the major part where you have to learn, but what are the other aspects of life where you have to learn?
Well, the first point of answering your question, Raj, and it's amazing that you're 24, and words are very powerful. So even when you said I am naive, you're programming that you're naive. You're not naive. You're extremely powerful and wise. And I think the more you can actually own that and use the words of self-honoring, you're going to get to an even new level, because our words affect our self-identity, and everything we do in the world is aligned with the way we see ourselves. So I would say, before I even answer how do I get information, let's go to some philosophy, which isn't very popular in the world, and it's simply this: if you want to be more successful in the world, be more successful with yourself. And so at 24, I know when I was 24, I was very much, oh, how can I hack the world? How can I be more productive? How can I be better at my job? How can I seize the opportunity? The hustle and grind culture. But it's when you become bigger that your world becomes bigger. So forget about succeeding in the world and try to build a better self, and then automatically you're going to go out there and you're going to live, you're going to seize opportunities, you're going to be more confident, you'll be more effective, et cetera, because you're a stronger, healthier person, versus being at self-sabotage because you don't like yourself. Okay, how do I get information? Or you're wondering, now let's go to tactics. In the 5 a.m. club, I teach a lot of them. There's the morning routine we talked about. There's the 1991 formula. For the first 90 minutes of your workday, just focus on one thing versus 50 things. There's the second wind workout. You finish your work, why just do one workout each day? Go for a nature walk. Go walk up along the water. Go to a yoga class. You'll double your effectiveness. I also encourage mentorship, which is very powerful. I'm running people can look on my Instagram profile. In my profile, there's a link to the 5 a.m. Club method. And this is a mentoring program where I'm actually going deeper than the 5 a.m. Club book, teaching a lot of my best philosophies on building personal greatness, productivity. So you can find a mentor, whether it's me or there's lots of other good mentors out there. But that's very powerful, to find someone who you can learn their wisdom and collapse time. And then reading, podcasts, journaling. I mean, journaling is becoming popular now. I've been journaling for years. And it has, when my heart has been broken, it's helped me heal. It's helped me feel gratitude when I don't feel grateful. It's even this morning, I rewrote my 2021 high value targets so they're front of mind. This morning, I wrote about the man I want to be today: humble, gentle, focused, kind. And so these are some of the things that we can do to build ourselves. Meditation is very, very powerful. Fasting, writing the new book, I fasted 6 hours most days, because actually fasting releases BDNF. It focuses your mind. So there's so many ideas.
Wow. I want to sum this up for everybody. The last thing which you said, you focus on 3 very important things, because most of the people just focus on 1 or 2. And the 3 important things were, first is you input, you take in the conversation, because you read books, you read podcasts, you take, you go through a lot of things to consume the content. The second part was journaling, where you output as well at the same time, because that's very powerful at the same time. If you're just taking in and there's no way to output, you won't be able to go much farther. And number three, which was, I think, the most essential part, that once you take in, you journal out, then you need a mentor to guide you through that as well. Now, what's the level next? What beyond that? What are the philosophies? Where you can learn from? And who is that one person who you can belong to and learn all these philosophies from? So these are the very three essential, important points, because often people miss out on at least one of them. And that's beautifully said. Thank you so much for being here. I just want to have this one last quick session where I want to have and want to know your brain in a blink way, like this or that. All right. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to give you two options, and you choose randomly, or maybe give it a thought for 5 seconds max, and then choose one.
Sure.
All right. Okay. So we start with I think if the world wants to know this, so that's why it's a very common question. The 5 a.m. club or the Monk who sold his Ferrari? Choose one.
Which is better?
Yeah. For you, which is better?
5 a.m. club.
Solitude or being social?
Solitude.
Okay. Reading a book or writing a book?
Oh, reading a book. Writing is too hard.
Okay. What do you find better when it comes to improving yourself? Watching a movie or listening to music?
Tie.
You don't have time. Come on, you can't do that. All right, I'll give you one. It's okay. And if you have this opportunity to start all over again, okay, so you are a speaker and you're a writer at the same time. So let's go back where you don't have to become a lawyer anymore. You don't have to become anyone. Would you choose to become a speaker or would you choose to become the writer?
Writer.
Writer. Thank you. This was it on the last ground. Do you want to share with everyone the best piece of advice or maybe the best piece of content which you want to share out for everybody? Maybe it's about book, maybe it's about the podcast, about your mentorship program, or about the conversation which we had right now.
Sure. So I would encourage anyone who wants to make this the greatest year they've ever had. First of all, read the 5 a.m. Club. People are loving the audiobook, so read the audiobook or read the book because it really does create revolutions of transformation. For people who want to go deeper than the book and learn how the best in the world start their mornings, live world-class days to increase productivity and performance, they can go to my Instagram at Robin Sharma. They can go to my profile and there's a link to the 5 a.m. Club method, which is, I just launched this. It's an online training program, video-based training program. Absolutely incredible. I think we've priced it at a very respectful price, so anyone can enjoy it. I'm on Instagram, so people can follow me on Instagram, and I don't show my abs because I don't have any abs. I offer good content each day to help people live heroic lives, so they can follow me on Instagram. I do a podcast. It's on YouTube. They can search the Mastery Sessions or my name. And if anyone wants to just keep in touch with me weekly, they can go to the mothership, rbinsharma.com, sign up for my newsletter, and I send videos and poetry and blog posts to people every week or every 2 weeks.
Wow. Thank you so much. Can I be selfish here and ask you one last question?
For you, Raj, you've been such a pleasure. Like, if you're 24 now and you continue this path, I can't wait to meet you when you're 30 and 40 and 50 and 60. You have such a, I hope this doesn't sound condescending. I'm saying this but you have such a bright future, and I can't wait to see your star continue to rise.
Thank you so much. And on those grounds, what my last question, that based on the conversation which we have had right now, based on whatever the way I've been trying to reach out to you and your team since last 6 months, what is that one piece of advice you would want me to give so that I can get better and I can improve the way I'm talking to people and asking questions? How can I get better? Because I really want to improve this.
Well, first of all, I have to get you into the 5 a.m. Club.
Absolutely.
That's, I think, the game changer for you. And then if you're asking how can you be a better interviewer, I really don't have a lot of suggestions for you. You came well prepared, you ask thoughtful questions, you listen well. I just say keep doing what you're doing. It's been a pleasure for me, and it's not always the case. Not every interview is engaging and rewarding like this.
Wow, this means a lot to me. You started my year in a very right way. I'm going to put this in my pedestal. I'm loving this. Thank you so much. I'm really humbled to have you here. And thank you for doing it. My audience and everybody has been waiting for this since very long. Thank you so much for doing this, Robin. It was such a pleasure to see you. I hope
Raj,
that I'm going to join 5M Club and we can do this again, maybe after a year, so that now we can have a different conversation when I join the club.
I'd love that. Thank you for your time, and lots of love to you and all your viewers. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Finally, thank you so much, guys, for waiting till the end. It was a beautiful session. I loved everything which he said, and such a man. Like he was funny, he was witty, he was such thoughtful person, and he gave answers with such grace without thinking about anything. That's beautiful. That's kind of mastery to achieve is amazing. Thank you so much for staying till the end. I love each and every one of you, and I'm grateful that you guys are here. Thank you so much. You can find this on my IGTV, and if you want to listen to it again and again, you can find this on my podcast. Tomorrow, I'll be uploading this on my podcast, Figuring Out with Raj Shamani, with the special guest, Robin Sharma, signing off. Thank you so much.